we've got one heck of a lot of change coming down the road at us in community pharmacy once again. Many of you may feel that we've had nothing but change since 2005, and I think that is fair. I think for any of you that have any involvement working with PCT colleagues, you'll see that they're going through enormous change, and obviously they're going to be disappearing fairly soon. So to some degree, we've got perhaps less change in community pharmacy than in the wider NHS, but it doesn't necessarily make it feel any less challenging. So we've got these changes coming down the road towards a contract, and we do need to address them with vigour and with energy, and I'm fully confident that community pharmacy contractors and the pharmacists and their teams can really get with this new programme, move forward confidently and demonstrate our place in the new NHS. So why do we need to change a contract? Well, you guys can probably come up with more reasons than I can possibly about why we need to change a contract. There are issues ongoing in terms of the structure of the contract and trying to get it to be more service focused, and lots more work to be done around the finance of the contract going forward as well. But we need to address some of the issues that the NHS has with it as well. We need to be able to help them with their QIP agenda, their quality, innovation, productivity and prevention agenda, which is really all about saving money but about becoming more effective. And there's a good message there for community pharmacy, because the work that we'll be able to do with better targeted MURs and with the new medicine service will really help to optimise patients' medicines, and that will help at an individual patient level, but also help an enormous amount at a national level from an NHS perspective, and that will really hit some of the QIP targets. And that's why medicines optimisation as an area is so important for us going forward. So why else do we need to change the contract? Well, building the evidence base for the future is really important, because we've got a basic evidence base now with MURs, but it's not sufficiently strong, I think, to necessarily carry the service forward over the next 10 years, unless we can prove with better targeted MURs and with the new medicine service over the next 18 months, we can really garner the evidence to demonstrate what we're doing, what you're doing in your pharmacies on a day-to-day basis. We know people are making a difference with MURs, but unfortunately the headlines are only ever about rubbish MURs, GPs whinging about some MUR they've had that wasn't to their liking. Well, you all know that you're doing great MURs. We need to collect evidence on that, demonstrate that, and that goes to all services going forward as well. Likewise, using that to prove the future to commissioners, GP commissioners as well, and I also see GPs just in their roles as fellow clinicians at local level, because if we are to take on a greater role optimising medicines, managing patients' long-term conditions, so for example, if we were to make a pitch as community pharmacy to take over management of asthma patients, simple asthma patients, I think we could do that in the future very easily with the skills that we're developing. But if we're going to persuade GPs to do that, they have to have confidence in our ability as clinicians and a confidence with those local relationships. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot we can do to prove what we can do at a local level and a national level over the next 18 months, so that we can then look to embed these services into the national contract, perhaps into the essential service, so that everyone's providing them going forward. But all of this comes down to securing the future of the sector. Because if we don't build added value supply function, added value service function rather, around the core supply function, there's a question mark as to how long the NHS and particularly Treasury are going to carry on paying us just for that supply function. We can do so much more, and we must do so much more. Lots of you, particularly the Numark members, are always being very much at the leading edge of service development and delivery, so I'm sure you guys will be totally up for it, but we need the whole sector to be up for this change and to make the best of the next 18 months, challenging though they are, so that we secure our future. So the contract changes, clinical governance, you'll be hearing more about those later on. My message to you on that is, in effect, don't worry too much. Most of the changes are just bringing the clinical governance requirements up to date, because it's 6 years old now. You're doing most of it already, it's just consolidating some of the requirements, and you've got 6 months lead-in time as well. You don't need to be complying with these requirements until April of next year. So my message is, don't worry too much. There'll be help from us, help from Numark, help from others. Focus on AMS is my recommendation. Changes to MURs, in effect, it's just targeting. A lot of people are viewing this as a new service. It's not a new service, it's simply changing the way we choose the patients who get offered an MUR. So you're aware that we've got 3 national groups. You'll need to do half of your MURs going forward from October within those national groups, and there'll be some data capture that we'll need to do to try and evidence the outcomes, or at least the outputs that are coming out of MURs. And then a new medicine service, and we're going to spend the morning talking about that. Really, really exciting opportunity. We've got an evidence base for this for the first time ever, a decent evidence base for a new national service. And that's why we've been able to persuade Andrew Lamsley, Secretary of State for Health, and also Treasury to fund this. So we have to now deliver on that. All about medicines optimisation. It's all about chatting to patients. It's a conversation. I think one of the things we've learned from MURs is we've got to try and move away from filling in bits of paper to really just getting maximum value from the time you spend with the patient, talking to them, addressing their concerns and issues that they have with their medicines, and thereby helping them and improving adherence. And that way we're optimising medicines use. We've got to capture evidence base, and that's why the use of Phonebased is going to be so important. And the Phonebased module will be launched in the next well, certainly before 1st of October, next few weeks, next few days. We're doing final testing over the next week to 10 days of that. That module will not only help you collate your core data set, it'll also help you to deliver the service. So it'll help you to print your consent forms. It will allow you to schedule appointments in a calendar that you can use for other services as well. So lots of support there. But there'll be loads of other support that Mimi and colleagues are providing, that CPPE are providing as well. So make use of that. And big message, share your learning, share your early learnings. Because as potentially early adopters within Numark, we need to know how you're getting on with it. If there are problems, let us know, let Mimi know about them so that we can try to address those going forward. But I hope you will be very excited about this service, because I think it's going to be fantastic to provide. Fantastic patient loyalty will potentially come from this service delivered effectively. So it's everything we've got to win from delivery of this service. But I don't underestimate it's going to be hard graft over the next 18 months because of the time frame that we're working in before the NHS Commissioning Board comes into being, and we have to repitch to try and get it recommissioned again. So thank you very much. I hope you're going to enjoy today.